Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson was asked about Charlie Kirk in an interview. And he said this, and this is going viral all over the internet.
Charlie Kirk, are we getting the full truth of what happened to him? And will we ever?
Of course, I don't know the answer. I never weigh in on it because I love his widow, Erica, and I'm sad to see. I'm sad to see so much of what's happened ever since, and I love Charlie, and so it's emotional for me, and so, but I will just say the responsibility for investigating crime goes to the civil authorities.
So many conservative influencers stopped this interview right here and said, Tucker Carlson is condemning Candace Owens. He doesn't believe that she should be investigating Charlie Kirk's death. He said that he loved Erica. And of course, only to find out that they're liars and they are scam artists. And there's much more to this conversation than meets the eye. So we're going to finish listening to Tucker Carlson's comments, because he did not just say we need to leave it up to the authorities. He actually said much more than that. Let's take a listen to the rest of this conversation.
In this case, the federal and state authorities. And so the internet is not in charge of investigating crimes.
They loved this part. The internet is not in charge of investigating crimes. They put this all over X and said Tucker Carlson is condemning Candace. But then he followed it up with this.
And when the authorities fail to investigate crimes, the internet will fill the vacuum. That's what you're watching now.
Yeah.
So there's all this hostility. Well, how dare you speculate? Well, we're speculating because
there are no answers.
And we don't have any reason to trust that we're going to get straight answers, because there is such a long legacy of lying and deception from American law enforcement.
And there's the Tucker I was looking for. I couldn't believe my eyes at first when I saw all of these Republican influencers, Zionist influencers saying Tucker Carlson condemns, Candace Owens. I thought, oh, that's so strange, because Tucker Carlson has been pushing to release the Epstein files and the JFK files and the 9/11 files. So it doesn't make sense for him to all of a sudden trust the American government to do the right thing. And lo and behold and lo, here we have it. Yes, the American government is not doing the right thing. And this is, quote unquote, Charlie's friend, right? This is his friend. This is the friend that people are saying, oh, he loves Erica. He agrees with Candace. Let's finish.
Mm-hmm.
You saw it on January 6th. You saw it at the Oklahoma City bombing. You saw it on 9/11. We still can't get the answers to what happened on 9/11 25 years later. Why is that? It's my country. I had a friend killed, like many people, on that day. I watched my country change forever, and they won't declassify the 9/11 files because why? Like, what is the answer there?
Who do you think they're protecting?
Come on now.
Who do you think they're protecting? He's like, I'm not saying that live on television or on YouTube. Are you kidding me? There's no way I'm sharing my true thoughts on this. We all know who they're protecting.
I don't know, but I would just say we can't know until it's just all declassified, and people have to face the truth. And I think some of the things we think about 9/11 are true. I think some of the things we think about 9/11 are not true. But we won't know until everything is declassified. We can't declassify the Kennedy assassination files 63 years later. So what's the answer? And look, my only contribution is not deep knowledge. It's just a sense that
You're not getting the full picture.
I'm just not afraid at all. And I think it's totally within bounds as an American citizen to say, you're the criminal, not me. I'm not hiding the 9/11 files. If I had them in my house, I'd put them on the internet. I wouldn't even.
This is exactly right. The American government is a bunch of criminals. We do not have to trust them with our lives. I'm in the government. I'm here to help. Those are the worst words that you can hear from mankind. Tucker Carlson is absolutely right. You guys are the criminals. You guys commit war crimes. You lie to the American people. And you expect me to automatically trust you when it comes to this person's death? Are you kidding me?
Look at the ones, put them on the internet, because it's been 25 years. And 3,000 people died. So what's your excuse for hiding this? And so anyway, given all that, I'm under no obligation to assume the authorities will do a thorough or honest job investigating Charlie Kirk's murder or any other murder.
And this is so brilliant because the conservative and Republican, YouTubers and pundits were taking that clip and saying, see, even Tucker Carlson believes that the government is doing a good job with Charlie Kirk's assassination. And he doesn't. He simply doesn't. He said it flat out. I don't trust that they will do a good job. I do not trust.
I have a right to ask questions and to get very straightforward answers. And if you tell me I can't tell you, it's incumbent on you to explain why you can't.
Precisely. So again, it is completely a lie that Tucker Carlson condemned Candace and he thinks that this investigation should be left up to the authorities. In fact, it's quite the contrary, which is we didn't trust you when it came to even Donald Trump's attempted assassination, and we don't trust you now with Charlie Kirk's assassination. All right, so now I want to move on to this. Shocked me, honestly, because let me just put this on the screen so y'all can see what I'm talking about. I was absolutely shocked that Jason Whitlock posted this because Jason Whitlock is sort of your run-of-the-mill Republican. He's over at the Blaze TV. He typically spews whatever random Republican talking points that are expected of him. Dare I say he's oonish, if you know what I mean. He just says whatever he needs to say to keep his check coming. He's sort of the blackface of the Blaze TV where he says all the nasty things about Black people that the white people want to say over there. Some of which are true, but some of which are just very clearly, rage bait and, undertones of racism. We all know that. Candace Owens told us that, based on the Daily Wire, that's how they function. They get a Black person in there and they say, you say all these nasty things, but you can say these nasty things about Black people, but you better not say these nasty things about that one group of people with the tiny hats. So Jason Whitlock said this: I watched yesterday's episode of Candace Owens. It's very disturbing. And he was referencing the episode where Candace Owens speaks about Erica Kirk and those messages from Erica Kirk. It requires an explanation. It's troubling. I hope there's a reasonable explanation. And Candace Owens responded with, it is textbook grooming behavior, not to mention it is illegal in Michigan to photograph a minor without parental consent or presence. Yes, it requires an explanation. So some conservatives are starting to turn the corner on Erica Kirk and realizing that this is not just, your run-of-the-mill Christian girl. There's something very strange and amiss going on with Erica Kirk. In a little bit, you guys, we're probably going to spend an hour and a half watching Graham Allen's response to Candace Owens. Apparently he has an expose on her. He posted it on Rumble and we're going to stream it together. So I hope my video doesn't get demonetized. If so, I'll put it behind a paywall so I can at least get a little bit of money for that. But I'm going to watch that whole thing with you guys because he is one of the ones who has been an ardent dissident of Candace Owens. And so dissident of Candace Owens. So we're going to watch that in a second. Now, the last conservative influencer is someone who's not typically mainstream, but the hypocrisy was so loud that I had to share this. So let me share this. So this man is Anton Daniels. He was huge during the 2024 election. He was all over the conservative circles with Patrick David and, he was at different turning point events and things like that, so his show is, he's got millions of followers over on YouTube. And he went over the text with Erica Kirk, and he actually said, I'm not going to play that part because that wasn't the part that was hypocrisy or hypocritical. He said, well, Erica was like every other white girl, they're just smart and they just try and find like a wealthy athlete. And I was like, what? So now we're calling, okay, everyone else would be a gold digger, but because Erica Kirk is doing it, it's fine. And he goes, well, this is how white girls talk to each other. I was like, I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. I still find this behavior to be unacceptable. And by the way, I've worked with a lot of very wealthy white women and young athletes and teens. So I'm not over either way. This is unacceptable. I don't ever need to touch your butt, period. I don't ever need to talk about that. But anyway, He says something very interesting. Let you guys listen to this.
I would be a little bit disturbed.
Hold
If
on,
you
let me-
saying lesbian, if Candace was my wife and the way that she speaks about Charlie Kirk, I would be a little bit disturbed. If you saying let's be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is my own personal, this has nothing to do with whether or not it's the truth or whatever. If Candace was my wife, the way that she speaks about Charlie Kirk, it reminds me of the way that Jada Pinkett speak about Tupac.
Okay, I'd like to remind you guys that this is the man who calls women on his show, single women, to go on vacation with him without his wife. This is the man that said, I always got girls around me. I always got bees around me. This is the man who flew a woman out to LA so he could be on the Corey Holcomb show with her, not his wife, or another woman. So I'm just like, you're not this beacon of integrity and morality. And if you're not familiar with the Tupac and Jada Pinkett reference, apparently Tupac and Jada Pinkett Smith had like a really, really tight, loving relationship. And that was like her true love. And so he's insinuating that Candace is in love with Charlie. And I think that's because people like Anton Daniels do not have the emotional maturity nor the psychology, like the psychological depth to understand brother-sister relationships with people who are opposite sex. So Anton Daniels only has women around him who he finds attractive. So he can't in his pea brain mind understand why Candace Owens would actually care about Charlie outside of sexual issues. Like, this is just classic small-minded base level thinking from a man. Candace is older than Charlie. She has said this multiple times, and Charlie was no offense, but he was immature when they were younger, and so Candace had to do a lot of coaching for Charlie. It's not some sexual relationship. They had political chemistry. It doesn't mean that they were in love with each other, and I don't think he was in love with her at all. I think Candace Owens just loved Charlie as a friend, and that's actually possible. That's something that you don't have to be attracted to someone just because they're the opposite sex. I think because they were both single at the time, it was completely appropriate. They actually never fell out. They were always talking. So why does it matter that she cares about him? Again, this is coming from a man who says, if I got girls around me, they need to know that I need the ability to smash. It's like you're posing as this Christian conservative man as if you have all these values, but you're actually like a slime ball, cheating, sorry excuse for a man. You have no right to comment on Candace Owens' character when you are the kind of guy who cheats on your wife. Let's continue listening to this.
That's how I see it as a man.
As a man.
As a man from a man's lens, that's how I see it. Now, I know a lot of other people would see it completely differently, right? A lot of other people would frame it completely differently. That's how I take it. So y'all may see it one way. I look at it from a human perspective. Y'all looking at evil versus good. Cool. I'm a man first. At the end of the day, I'm a man first. And so if my wife personally were speaking this way, I would be like, hey, so what we doing? You know what I'm saying?
By the way, Anton talks about the women. Oh, I love so-and-so. She looks so good. By the way, that's what he talks about Mika. That Mika is like one of his side chicks. Like they say they don't have a relationship, but that's who he flew out to the 5150 show. So Anton Daniels is talking about, I don't like the way Candace Owens is talking about Charlie Kirk, but you discuss how beautiful and how fine these women are that you have around you. You're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite.
To conclusions until I spoke with Jillian.
So that was his reaction, which I was like, I almost halfway expected Anton Daniels to have morals, and I was wrong. I almost halfway expected him to have some integrity. I didn't expect him to be defending Erica Kirk's text. I thought, but then you know what? Anton Daniels cares about one thing and one thing only, and that's money. That is all he cares about. He does not want to be on the wrong side of TPUSA because his goal is to get into TPUSA. He has been all over Dr. Phil, trying to get into the upper echelon of the Republican Party, but he's too ghetto. People don't want his. I'm sorry, but it is what it is, and I like you. People don't want you around. You're too. Yeah, it's too hood. People don't like that. You're a liability. So people don't like it. Okay. Okay, you guys ready? That was the pre-show. You guys ready to get into Graham Allen's response to Candace Owens? He was like, I've known her for 10 years and I got all this stuff behind closed doors that people have said about Candace Owens. All right, bet. Let's get into it. Share screen.
That it is time to tell the truth about Candace Owens. It's time to no longer beat around the bush. It's time to tell the truth.
Can you guys hear that? Let me know. I'll wait for a second. So you guys have, I know there's a little bit of a delay, but let me know if you guys can hear that. Because this video is long. It's like an hour. I should probably, let me see if I can adjust the speed really quickly on this. Oh, I did. I put it at 1.5. Okay. Just let me know if you guys, I'll keep playing it and then let me know. Okay, perfect. You guys can hear it. Great.
Everything that I know. There's going to be a lot of you today that watch this episode, that many of you are finding out who I am for the first time due to what Candace did and her bringing me into these slanderous accusations and all this, and that's fine. So we're going to walk you through not only the accusations, we're going to walk you through how I've known Candace for over a decade. And I know the truth about everything behind closed doors that we're never actually supposed to have said about Candace Owens, and I'm over it. And it's time that people know the truth. And it also is not lost on me that the Canaanites, the cult followers of Candace Owens, nothing I say is going to change your mind. And that's fine. Why am I doing this? Because there's a lot of people that I have shared the stage with, that I have fought for this country and our faith for a decade.
Okay, I want to say something right here. This kind of language and rhetoric is very cult-like. Here's the thing. Here's what's ironic is that, like, this is sort of like a leftist talking point, like, oh, it's vote blue no matter who. But the reality is that many people disagree with quite a bit of what Candace Owens says and does. If you actually watch the TikToks about Candace Owens, people are like, I still can't stand her, but I think she's right about Erica Kirk. Do you see what I'm saying? So people who watch Candace Owens are not necessarily Candacites or whatever, they're, the candy cult. People have the ability to slice and to determine what they believe and what they don't believe. People have the ability to say, fine, you don't have to like me, but call me a liar. So tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying that Erica Kirk was at Fort Huachuca. Tell me I'm lying that you guys made billions of dollars after Charlie's death. Tell me I'm lying. But you notice they'll talk about her as a person and her character, but they won't tell us that she's lying. And that's how you know that she's onto something. So this false belief and this false idea that everybody who listens to Candace Owens, no matter what I say, you guys won't believe me anyway. It's like, no, actually, we just don't care. We care about the truth. So the same way that we don't care. Yes, Mitch is probably a terrible husband. Okay. A lot of military guys are terrible husbands. No offense if your husband is in the military, but a lot of military men are terrible husbands because of what they've gone through. That doesn't mean that they can't tell the truth sometimes. Right. So we don't just say he's a horrible person, he can't be trusted, because even in the court system, do we not take in those criminals from jail and jailhouse snitches? Do we not? We have jailhouse snitches. That's a culture in the United States. I mean, what are we even talking about? Ad hominem attacks. Exactly. People who support Candace aren't in a cult. We take everything with a grain of salt, as she wants us to. Exactly. I don't take her word as gospel. I go, oh, that's something to think about. That's something interesting. But this is what happens when you're over the target, as they say.
That have remained silent while Erica is attacked, while Charlie's children are attacked, while this woman tries to single-handedly tear down everything that my friend Charlie stood for.
This is a straight up lie. Candace never attacked Gigi. In fact, that clip that's going around is her actually protecting Gigi. If you've actually watched the clip, like, this is the lie, the lies, the lies. Like, I need that clip of Candy saying the lies, because Candace never attacked her child, actually. She just said, stop blaming Gigi for, your wrongdoings.
You remain silent in cowardice. And that's okay. I understand. Because as we'll show the audience here in a minute, this is why you're afraid. And maybe some of you have skeletons that you don't want Candace Owens to find out about. Okay, fine. If I got to take the bullets, I will. If this ends my career, then so be it. But if it sparks others to start combating her obvious vindictive, evil agenda and her obvious lies, then it was well worth it. I need every single one of you to do me a favor and hit that like button right now.
He's so angry. You guys, let's count how many times he says evil and widow, because those are Daily Wire words. That's that alliance that the Daily Wire now has with TPUSA, where they're all using the word evil and widow to trigger us. Oh shoot! Darn it. Hold on.
I need every single one of you to do me a favor and hit that like button right now. The more you hit the like button, the more people will see this. Comment in the comment section right now. Do you stand with Candace? And that's fine. You can put yes or no in the comment section. I'm sure we'll have a lot of Candace fans in this episode today, and that's fine. But we have a lot of stuff to talk about and not very long to do it. So I want to thank our sponsors, Black Rifle Coffee. We wouldn't be able to do this show without you guys. So I want to thank you for sponsoring the show. Everybody, please go to blackriflecoffee.com right now and go support them. Again, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, a very short time to do it. This episode is going to be a little bit different because I don't want to expose him to the backlash that's probably going to come from this. But he has something he wants to say before we get going. So, ladies and gentlemen, everybody's favorite redneck, Hot Seat Todd, is here.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, and Graham, let me just first say that I do appreciate, even though I'm not worried about any kind of backlash from this Peckerwood and her little people, I could care less. Everything about me that's bad, everybody knows anyway. Live in a small town.
Did he just call her a Peckerwood? This y'all Christians? I swear. Okay, I have a theory about TPUSA. So, if you guys are like pastors' wives or pastors' kids, or if you, yeah, it is. Okay, if you've been in the church, you know that like there's the pastor's views, and then people in the congregation have more extreme views than the pastor because they're trying to like get his attention or prove how holy they are to the pastor. What I think happened at TPUSA is that there's a lot of racist people at TPUSA, because Charlie would say a lot of things, particularly in his younger years, that were borderline discriminatory. And so because people heard those things, they're like, well, I'm going to be the best, the best little racist there is so that Charlie can like me. And so they go over, above and beyond, and they show their true racism. And so, unfortunately, as Charlie got older, he started to be more mindful of his words and mindful of the way that he spoke. But I really feel like at TPUSA, the racists are coming out to play because this is who they always were. I don't necessarily think Charlie was that way, but I do think there's an effect of when you are in the public eye and when you are a leader, you have to be very mindful of what you say, because people will do the extreme thing. They will listen to your extreme. They will take your views and take them to the extreme. So I just wanted to say that. But yeah, he just called her Peckerwood. Like, this y'all Christians? Ooh.
But to Candace and to the Canaanites and Candyland and everybody involved with this particular topic about coming after Graham and saying the things that you have said, I'm just going to tell you like I used to tell my children. Candace, spit it out. Okay, spit it out. This is not the bowl you want to stick your face in. This ain't the meal that you want to take a bite out of. You need to spit it out. You have literally become everything about the left that you've hated for so long and that I hate. You change the narrative. You have millions of theories without any facts behind it. And anybody, and now more so, anybody that confronts you, that asks you questions, that asks for proof, now you're throwing around pedophilia like you're calling somebody an asshole. Like that's the same thing. All right, that's not okay. And I'm not going to stand up here and defend Graham about being a pedophile or not. That's stupid. Okay, you said it because you want clicks, and you are to Catholicism as I am to being a Sunni or a Shiite. All right.
I believe that Candace Owens is going to respond to this. And I hope that she comes with proof, because Candace Owens typically doesn't just randomly say things without evidence.
That is the thing. You are not a Christian. Christians don't do this. You're not a Catholic. Catholics don't do this. You are an evil demon. And I hope for the
Well, do Christians and Catholics call black people peckerwoods? Is that what Christians do? I mean, be so for real. Like, there's a hot place in hell for people who hate their brothers and sisters, right? There's a hot place in hell. So if this is what you're calling people, I would repent immediately. Immediately.
The rest of the show that Graham treats you as such. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go to me for the rest of the show. I apologize about that. X is back up. We were putting the link for her Canaanites to be able to come in here and say what they have to say. So one thing I want to start off with before we talk about what happened, and then I want to address those head on. I want to talk about some things that happened yesterday. Yesterday, I made an announcement on X that I would be addressing everything. And I got more phone calls, more text messages, more calls from members of the administration, more calls from people in high positions that everybody that you would think of. I got calls from pastors, high profile, and literally people wanting to pray for me over the phone. And although I will always welcome prayer, I want you guys to realize that's the level of which Candace Owens and her evilness has reached, to a point that if someone wants to stand up to Candace and her horrible, evil, vindictive attacks against Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow, and even Charlie's kids, pastors feel led to pray for me before I even do my show, which I do daily.
Are these the same pastors that tell you it's okay to call black people peckerwoods? Because then they're probably not the right pastors. Those pastors are also grifters.
Does that seem normal to you? Does that seem like a simple thing that everybody does that? No, it shows you that this has reached a level no one can comprehend. So I want to say a couple Bible verses before we start this. Proverbs.
I have a pet peeve, you guys, as a Christian. One of my pet peeves is when people quote scriptures and then cuss in the same sentence, or they quote scriptures and then say diabolical things in the next sentence, because I'm like, oh, you don't have the Holy Spirit at all. Because if you are not to curse with the same lips that you bless the Lord. So don't quote scripture and then proceed to be vile with your tongue or co-sign behavior that is absolutely sinful. It's sinful. It's wretched. It's debased. It's full of hatred. And this is why people don't trust TPUSA anymore, because it's this level of, if you are going to align yourself and co-sign this level of behavior while calling yourself a Christian organization, you're wrong. People are sensing the hypocrisy. People are sensing that something is not right. The incongruent. People don't like that. Real Christians don't like that.
68:5. Father to the fatherless, defender of the widows. This is God in his holy dwelling. Everybody keeps asking why I stand so firm in this. Well, because I believe the Bible to be true. And the Bible is very specific about the treatment of widows, about the treatment of orphans. Exodus 22 through 24. Do not take advantage of the widow or the fatherless. If you do, and they cry out to me, I will certainly hear their cry. And then
I want to know if you guys care about the orphans of the black people who have been killed. That's what I want to know. Because you see, they love talking about, we care about the widows and the orphans. No. Oops. You care about this widow because it's going to get you paid. But you do not genuinely care about orphans. When was the last time you went to an orphanage? Where the heck did Canaanites or whatever they say come from? I've never heard of that ever. Yeah, they have the candy cult, the Canaanites. They're like, they're. This is so, I hate to say it, lame. It's so lame. Candace cannot be stopped. She cannot be stopped. This is lame. That word is just, it's a way to, again, we're trying to label people this thing so that they're, you're this thing and therefore you're bad. Baby, stop. Just stop.
Then James 3:14 through 16. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth. This is not the wisdom that comes down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. Candace.
So the claim that he's going to try and make here is that Candace Owens is has selfish ambitions here. Shall we talk about the selfish ambitions of TPUSA gaining $250 billion, or I don't know the exact number, but $250 million in ad t-shirts and hat sales post his memorial? Should we talk about that, or no? Is that the wrong kind of selfish ambition? We're not stupid. You want us to think that Americans are stupid. You cannot gaslight us with scripture. You cannot. Long gone are the days where we're going to be gaslit with scriptures about that little hat country or this. You're not. You cannot tell us, read your Bible, read your Bible, read your Bible, and then, oh, but don't read that part of your Bible. Don't read the part of the Bible that says you need to exact justice. Hold your leaders accountable. No, don't do that. That part of the Bible that tells you that you're saved by grace and not your ethnicity. You know that one, that scripture that you guys like to avoid. We're done. We're done as Americans being spiritually gaslit. No one's seen Erica grieving from day one. Please.
So, as I move forward in this, I want to say that above anything and everything, I truly mean it when I say I'm praying for your soul. I make a joke sometimes when I say I wouldn't want to be the person standing in line behind Candace Owens at the pearly gate. But I honestly say this when I say I'm praying for your soul, Candace, because we go way back. We'll go there. I've got a book here that I wrote. And no, it's not a pitch for the book. I don't want you to go buy this book. This is my first.
It's definitely a pitch for the book. Like, be so for real. Like the sorry if that's really loud in your guys' ear. Like, I can't. Be so for real. You guys are doing this for money. You're doing it for views. You're doing this for clout. You're doing this for selfish ambition. Proceeds to put his book up on the stream that's probably going to be his biggest stream of the year. Lord, help me to not be angry. Because this is the kind of stuff that will get people smitten down. The devil knew scripture and perversed it. Amen. He used it when Jesus was in the wilderness. People are crazy. Amen. Do nothing out of selfish ambition. Pulls up his book. Baby, what? Hold on. Let me. There's a Bible verse. And I really want Candace to start using this Bible verse. In Matthew 24:28, you guys, it says, where the corpse is, the vultures will gather. And I immediately thought about this verse when Charlie Kirk died. Where the corpse is, the vultures will gather. And I really wish Candace Owens, someone needs to I really need to tag her in this. This verse describes exactly what's happening at TPUSA. The vultures are gathering. They're taking this opportunity to make money off of Charlie. Where the corpse is, the vultures will gather. And vultures they are. I think people forget that Candace is married to a lord. Isn't that what he is? He's a lord. She doesn't need money. She doesn't need money. She's made money off of Brigitte Macron and Harvey Weinstein and all her other. She doesn't need the money. So pretending like this is something that's going to get her, make her a multimillionaire is crazy.
First book. I've written one since then. I've got another one coming out in September. That's not the point. The point is, on the back of books, you have these things called blurbs. And this book came out in 2020, and I just want to read you something here. And it says, Graham Allen is an inspiring voice amongst a generation that has been misguided by the far left ideologies.
Wait a minute. Is he puffing himself up, this Christian man? Is he puffing himself up? I cannot. let me read something in the third person of myself. This is okay. So there's this. I know. I'm sorry, you guys. We're gonna be here for 2 hours. But there's this thing called like the military aesthetic, and I can't stand men with a military aesthetic. It's like I'm military, like I wear flags, I wear fatigue, I, carry guns, and it's just like I cannot. Yes, Candace has plenty of money. Okay, let's go.
He is a patriot, a husband, a father, and most importantly, a fighter that I am glad to call a personal friend. America 316 accomplishes exactly what Graham's speciality is, and that's reaching real America. Candace Owens. So for the new people in the audience watching this for the first time that you've never heard of me before, that's fine. But I want to paint a picture here of how far back me and Candace go. So I'm going to show you a couple pictures really quick, and then we're going to get into her allegations online. I'm going to address them head on, and then I'm going to tell you the truth about Candace.
So here's the thing. That was when Candace Owens was still working at the Daily Wire. So it could have been, right? Because typically people write reviews prior to the book coming out. So she was still under the spell, okay, if you will. So that to me, that means nothing. And I want you guys to know that as well. That means nothing that she commented positively on this man, because she was doing that while she was still believing that, that United States needed to be the welfare daddy of another country. Like those were her beliefs back then, so it makes sense that she would condone this.
All right, so we've got some photos here, and I just want to show you because there's a lot of people that will watch this. This will get edited, and this will be clipped, and this will be done. And we'll probably go back to this photo a little later, but this shows how far back in the day me and Charlie and Brandon Tatum go. In fact, this next one is a photo of me, Charlie, Brandon Tatum, Benny Johnson, all sitting together at a table before we all blew up to an extent that you know us now.
By the way, Benny Johnson has issues with males. Like he cheats on his wife regularly with males. So allegedly.
I think we've got that one, Todd. If we can do that, we need to switch to the one of me and all of us sitting at the table. There you go. This was way back in the day when we all knew each other across the board. Now, me and Candace have known each other for a long time. This photo is back in the 3 Barstool days of the campus tours. There's Charlie, there's me, there's Candace. Back in the day when these tours weren't as popular as they are today, we were sitting in bar stools together and we were fighting this fight alongside each other. Here's some more pictures of Candace Owens with some of my children, with my wife. There's Candace, me, and my wife with my daughter. Here's another one of me and Candace and my wife. And then here's one of me, Charlie, Erica, and my wife together. So when I say all of these things that I've known Candace Owens for well over a decade, I'm telling you the truth. And when I say that Candace Owens is not who you think that she is, that's what I mean. Well, let's go to what happened, because there's a lot of you here on Rumble. There's a lot of you that are probably confused to an extent of what happened and actually went on. So let's start off with playing the video that started this escalation. Now, the main purpose of this video was to say why I continue to defend Erica Kirk. And it was also to call out those that have been cowardice and not. I think we got to go to TikTok because I think X is still down. I think X went back down again. But here is the video. And I want to play the video in its context so you can see how Candace Owens' attack doesn't make any sense. Here's the video that started it all. Here we go. Everybody always goes, "Oh, Graham, why Candace Owens? Why?" Because she's still doing it and she's still crossing the line with my friend's widow. And maybe you're the type of person that you will allow a friend of yours, their widow, if they were to pass away. Maybe you're the type of person that will not protect that widow. Maybe you're the type of person who would just move on. I'm not. I'm not getting to heaven in the pearly gates and Jesus look at me and go, "Why didn't you stand up there?" Not happening.
Okay, let me read your comment, Haley. Regardless of her past, that has nothing to do with an active investigation. Wow, just like trying to make Mitch Snow look bad. He has a past, but that doesn't negate him from being at Fort Huachuca. Agreed. How about the fact that y'all, okay, not you guys, but y'all, Graham and company, elected a president who is a known toucher. We all did. The United States elected a man who is a known toucher of children. And so nobody seems to care that was his past, right? So it's, again, the hypocrisy for me. This has so many ads, it's annoying.
Not happening to me. Another thing I want to say to all of you friends of Charlie out there that have microphones just like I have, that came up with Charlie. Many of you I stood on stage with for many, many, many years. Where are you? Why aren't you saying anything? Why are you tiptoeing the lines to not make Candace Owens's audience mad at you, and or worse, Candace herself being mad at you? Perhaps you have skeletons in your closet. I don't know. But I want you to know that I respect none of you. And I will never, ever look at any of you the same again. Graham, who are you talking about? It's really easy to find. Look for any of the people that do what I do that are not absolutely 100% calling out Candace Owens. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about every
Right, you can pause it,
one of them. You know, okay, so if you agree with that video and that statement, just give me some American flags in the comment section now or hit the like button. That was the main purpose of that video. In fact, I would argue it was more of a direct attack on those that were being cowardice in the face of Candace Owens' attacks. Now,
I just want to make sure that these same people are just as angry about the Epstein files. I just want to do a little morality check, a little ethics check, a little congruency in your convictions check. I just want to make sure you're still you're this upset about the Epstein files. Just checking, because to me, this is like level 1, right? We have level 5,000 of the Epstein files, and a lot of y'all are quiet. And you know what the Bible says about people who hurt children? Millstones around their necks thrown into the bottom of the ocean. So yeah, I just want to do a little ethics check, a little morality check, see if you're still, if you still call yourself a Christian, but you have nothing to say about the Epstein files. So the Dow's 50,000. Stop the madness. If the widow was innocent and not a pathological liar, then maybe we protect her, but she's not. So yeah, in my video about the tale of the 3 widows regarding Vanessa Bryant and Jackie Kennedy, I said, hey, Jackie Kennedy shut herself into a room for months and wouldn't come out and speak to the public. She mourned. Erica's biggest mistake was stepping out into the public too soon.
Now, because X is down, we had to take a screenshot of what Candace Owens said. She said 2 things on Friday afternoon, and I want to address them. The worst one is obviously the one calling me a pedophile. So again, this is in response to the video you just saw. And Candace Owens' response is, keep your young kids away from Graham Allen. No joke. My belief is that no man is capable of defending stuff like this that isn't himself perverted. But yet you defended Andrew Tate. But yet you literally had Harvey Weinstein on your show.
By the way, when she was doing her Harvey Weinstein show, she said that she believed that he actually raped many of the girls, but some of them he did not, right? So but we can tell that he didn't listen to the show, or even maybe he doesn't have the emotional or educational background to be able to understand nuance. But Candace Owens definitely said, yes, I think he definitely engaged in inappropriate behavior with some of these women, but not all of them. That was that. I agree with him on Andrew Tate, but then I have to come back and say, but why did you vote for a man who's a toucher? Right? And why aren't you saying anything about the Epstein files, right? So I have to be like, right? So we all have, I don't, but both of you guys have people that you've defended that are questionable ethically. So this is not the gotcha that you think it is. This guy's an idiot. Yes, he is.
But also, that right there is why so many big name people are afraid to call out Candace Owens. Because the truth of the matter is, there is no depth that is low enough that she will not go.
Wait a minute. So, hey guys, I'm actually not afraid of someone calling me a pedophile, because I'm not one, right? So if people are worried that she's going to call them that, it's because they are. It's because they got some questionable behavior in their past, if you know what I'm saying. So again, this misfiring when it comes to why people aren't speaking, this rationale as to why people are not speaking on Candace Owens. Yes, a lot of them are afraid. You know why? Because they're touchers of children, or they have things that they're not proud of in their past that they don't want to come out. You guys are upset because Candace Owens cannot be canceled because they couldn't get blackmail on her.
I make a video saying I'm going to stand up for a widow and the orphans of Charlie Kirk, and I call out the cowards that were supposed friends of Charlie that are saying nothing. And Candace's response is, Graham Allen is a pedophile. No facts, no evidence, no nothing. In fact, I would argue to say that most people know that we're an adoptive family. So I've had my entire life ripped apart through investigations and everything, because any of you who have adopted a child, you know you can't just show up. So I would say that my background is cleaner than Candace Owens ever has been. In fact, I also hold a highest level top secret security clearance you possibly can have. My past and my background has been looked at every single stone. Can you say the same thing, Candace Owens? So to that.
By the way, when these guys hold these large security clearances, oftentimes they allow them to do these sort of missions because they do have blackmail on them, just to make sure they're not going to say anything when they leave. Just so you guys know, like, that is genuinely how some of this works, is that they will allow you to have this background because you are going to be doing things that compromise your morals and integrity, and they want to make sure that they have blackmail on you. So I don't necessarily believe that just because someone has security clearance that they're the most upstanding moral people. I just don't simply believe that. In fact, how do I say this? I know someone who has dated a Green Beret and a member of the Secret Service, and they were both very slimy individuals. So the fact that you have security clearance means that you can hold government secrets. It doesn't mean that you're a great person. Is he admitting that he's deep state? Right. I would not brag about government clearance. Precisely. I would not. That is not something to brag about. That just means that you can hold secrets and lie really well. That's what that means.
That accusation that is just not only slanderous, defaming, and libel, I simply say, are you sure about that? Because for you to make a statement like that, you better have something to back it up and prove it. My life, through adoption, through working with the Pentagon, everything has been torn apart, upside down, through lawyers, investigators, everything. My record is clean. Worst thing that's ever happened to me is a speeding ticket in my life. So I'm an open book in that regard. Go ahead, look. Have your Canaanites go look and try to find whatever. But this is yet another example of Candace Owens taking the extreme character assassination. This is the new Nazi. Calling people a pedophile is the new calling people Nazis. If people disagree with what you're saying, by Candace's very definition, I'm just asking questions. Well, anyone who asks questions about the person asking the questions is a traitor, and they're a pedophile. That's the new thing of the left. Because that's what I also want to bring up the fact through the rest of this is Candace Owens has been and always will be a raging leftist that has been a wolf in sheep's clothing for over a decade.
I'd like to remind you that Candace Owens, yes, we all know that Candace Owens started her political journey on the left. She's now politically agnostic, as, to be honest, most Black people should be, because neither party actually cares about our interests as Black people in this country. So it's actually, he thinks this is a flex, but this to me is a sign of intelligence. When you cannot be labeled left or right, because the right labels you a left and the left labels you a right, person on the right, that means you're right in the sweet spot, because you're not just toting party lines, you're pissing everybody off. That means you're probably somewhere in the middle, and that's a good place to be. So this is not the flex that he thinks it is. And by the way, everybody knows that Candace Owens had some lawsuit with like the NAACP when she was in high school. Like, that's like this. Sorry, Black people have been known this. Like they've been. Candace Owens says, I got excommunicated from the Black community for being a Republican. I am not afraid. You're not telling anybody anything new. Maybe there's a bunch of people who didn't know this about Candace Owens, but I think people by default just learned, okay, if we're a leftist, you don't like Candace Owens. So maybe he's telling people on the right this, but people already knew that. Like, you're not telling us anything new here. I hope this is not part of like the big expose, because this is not, you ain't telling me nothing new. You're not.
Decade. The only difference you're seeing now is that now it's more money for her and more opportunity for her to let her inner leftist out. She also makes this allegation about me being on PragerU's payroll. You can see it here. His God is money. He is on the payroll of PragerU to influence people. Well, this is very interesting because you can look at PragerU's tax filings. They're a charity organization, so you can see every dollar of everything that goes out from PragerU. You won't find Graham Allen's name, but what you will find is Candace Owens' name. In fact, didn't they pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars because that's where your show got its start.
That's right. And Candace Owens has admitted to this. She has admitted to this. Everybody knows that Candace Owens got canceled. Same thing with Tucker Carlson, right? Tucker Carlson used to be in the good graces of PragerU and the good graces of Daily Wire and the good graces of all of the tiny hat corporations, the right-leaning tiny hat corporations. We all know that. This is not new. We don't care. Candace Owens is no longer on the payroll of PragerU, and we know why. Because she moved to the Daily Wire. Yes, she got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, just like many people do.
Correct? PragerU? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty positive that the only person in this conversation who's been on PragerU's payroll, as if that's this bad thing, but you think it is, so let's talk about it. The only person who's been on PragerU's payroll is you. Is you. You are the only one. This is what Candace Owens does. She manufactures outrage. She manufactures rage. She manufactures character assassination because that's what she does. So those are the responses to the allegations. But now I feel that it is time to just tell the truth, right? That's what Candace Owens says all the time. It's time to tell the truth. It's time to let the cat out of the bag. And here's the truth that no one has ever wanted to say for the entirety of the past decade. And that is Candace Owens this is the biggest kept secret inside the conservative movement. Candace Owens has been the biggest thorn in the side, diva, absolute nightmare wrecking ball to the entire conservative movement behind the scenes for the past decade.
I believe it. You know why? Because she can't be controlled. I believe it. You're not telling me something that makes me hate her. I believe it. I believe that Candace Owens is a thorn in your side because she cannot be controlled. You cannot tell her to bow the knee to the tiny hat country and say the right thing. Of course she's being called a diva. Of course. I pray that somebody calls me a diva because I cannot be controlled. Let me see if he has some strong evidence for this, but I highly doubt it.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Anyone who's not on record in front of a camera, they'll tell you the truth. Every single person that has ever worked with Candace Owens that's not still being paid by Candace Owens or has an NDA with Candace Owens, they can't stand her. She's horrible. Treats people badly. She doesn't fulfill her commitments. All of it. In fact, let's start with the first thing. Turning Point USA, back in 2017, when she was like the thing for Turning Point USA. All right, let's go back to that photo I was referencing, Todd. This was at Arizona State University, and this was my very first campus event with Turning Point. Talking to the crowd, they get to ask us these questions, blah, blah, blah. Well, what's known in the background is Candace was notorious for just disappearing and not showing up when she was supposed to show up. She would just disappear, not show up. In fact, if you look in the back there, you see the sign, and the sign actually says Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens. You see, at the time, I was told that it was because Candace was sick. This was them running cover for Candace. But since then, I've learned that that's actually not the truth. The truth is this was just par for the course of Candace Owens. To just negate her obligations to Turning Point USA, the very organization that you would not know who Candace Owens is right now if it were not for Turning Point.
Here's my response to this. If this was that bad, Charlie would have fired her. Wouldn't he have? Wouldn't you just fire someone who never showed up to work? Tell me, am I wrong? That would be my response. Why didn't she get fired then? And why did she keep getting jobs for people? Because generally speaking, in that world, if you're in the conservative world, they all talk to each other. So they would have said, don't hire her. Like, I'm confused. Like, maybe it's true. It could be true. But the bottom line is, you're not telling me you're not telling me anything that makes me go, she's a liar. People don't show up to work. People are sick. People do, like that. That doesn't mean that she's lying.
It's also known, again, the other biggest kept secrets out there is Candace Owens has morphed into everything that she feels she needs to be to make the most money that she can while she can do it. Everyone that has ever known Candace Owens, you see Jeremy Boring talking about this, everybody knows that Candace Owens cares about two things. And really the divide between the first one and the second one is pretty big. 1 and 2. Number 1 is money. Candace Owens cares about money and money alone. You see, oftentimes when people accuse people of something, like she said, my God is money, that's normally projection of themselves. Again, Candace, I have said this on the show multiple times. I'm willing to show you my bank account if you're willing to show me yours. And what I can promise you is your bank account is far larger than mine. So for my God being money,
Okay, just because someone makes money doesn't mean that they love it, right? Like that's not the thing. What demonstrates Candace Owens' integrity is the fact that she left the Daily Wire when she could have made more money at the Daily Wire by lying and going against her convictions around the tiny hat country. So again, they keep saying your God is money. People keep saying that about Candace, but I'm like, wait a minute. That doesn't make sense. If your God is money, you do anything and everything to stay on the networks. That's what you do. This is why celebrities keep sacrificing their souls to get money. Those are people whose God is money. I'm sorry that Candace Owens is good at her job. I'm really sorry, and that bothers you guys. I'm so sorry. She could have very much made more money with TPUSA. He's such an idiot. I know. This is like such a nothing burger. This is not the expose that it's not giving what he thinks it's giving, as the kids say. This is just like so whack. And what's crazy is he is talking about how Candace Owens she's making money. Her God is money, but you made this live to make money and promoted your own book on it. We're not even halfway done. Sorry, guys. Let's keep listening. I keep hoping actually that there's something in here that we didn't already know about her. That's what I keep hoping. But as of yet, there's a lot left to be desired.
I disagree. And many of you will comment and you'll say, Graham, this was horrible. All her Canaanites will come to her defense and be like, you should have talked to her in private about this. The truth is I tried on multiple occasions. I text Candace Owens on the phone number I had for her. I wrote her DMs. And then when I thought, well, maybe she changed her number, I reached out to Brandon Tatum. And I said, Brandon, can you please deliver this message to Candace directly for me? I just want to talk. I want to find out what's going on. He told me that he would. I believe he did. And she did nothing. She doesn't want to talk to me because I'm not big enough to talk to her, and or she knows that I am a contrarian to her beliefs. So therefore she goes on the Hodge Twins podcast because that's a layup interview. Let's talk about her and Charlie's relationship. It is also known by everyone that the thing that gave Charlie literal ulcers from anxiety and worry was Candace Owens. It is known by everyone inside that whenever Candace would come up, Candace is calling, she wants something, or she wants to talk about something, or she wants to come this, she wants to come that. Charlie would be riddled with such anxiety that other people would have to talk to Candace for Charlie because Charlie knew what Candace actually was. It's like that scene from Halloween. I don't know how many of you have seen that, but there's this scene with Dr. Loomis, and he's talking about Michael Myers, and he's talking about the fact the first several years he spent trying to reach Michael Myers, and then the next 10 years he tried to keep him locked up because he saw that what was behind those eyes was nothing but pure evil. I believe that the same thing happened to Charlie behind.
I wonder if what he's talking about is during the time when Candace Owens was moving from not from TPUSA, but moving from Daily Wire, and Charlie was under pressure from donors to, remove her from TPUSA. I wonder if that was that. The other thing is that Candace Owens had Charlie's number. Like, she didn't need to be talking to someone else for Charlie. That must have been, I guess I had to when she was working there. So this is not really making sense to me. Okay, so she gave him ulcers. Let's just say that is true, you guys. They were still friends up until he died. Like, at the very end, he still wanted her back at TPUSA at Amfest. So what does it matter? And yes, this is going to be his biggest show because he's talking about Candace, and he knows it. That's why he promoted his book. He knows it. This is like, again, the level of hypocrisy, like, it's so unbelievable that this faux integrity, there we go, the military aesthetic. I'm a warrior, I'm a fighter, I'm a protector aesthetic that he's putting on whilst also promoting his book on your show that is going to be your biggest show because it's about Candace is disgusting.
Behind closed doors with Candace Owens. Charlie at some point saw what was behind Candace Owens' eyes. And all he wanted to do was figure out a way to appease her enough to not have her turn against Turning Point, because you're seeing what happens when Candace Owens decides she wants to destroy something, somebody, someone, some movement, whatever it may be. Charlie lived in fear of Candace. Not because he didn't believe that he could defeat her, but we had elections to win, and it looked best to look as a united front in front of the world so we could win this elections. And he knew of what she was capable of doing.
This makes Charlie look really weak. Oh, I gotta, you guys remind me to clip this segment. Graham Allen calls Charlie Kirk weak. Like, that's exactly what he's doing. It's like Charlie was so weak. He was so terrified of 5'2" Candace Owens, or I don't know. I think she's shorter than him. Skinny little Candace Owens. He was just so terrified of her. He was terrified because he had to win elections. This makes no sense. This makes no sense. But let's pretend for a second that he was terrified of her. At the end of the day, Charlie Kirk wanted Candace Owens to speak at AmFest. The end of the day. So you can say all this stuff. You can say, oh, she's not. End of the day, he was talking to her about Catholicism and speaking at AmFest. Period. Let's throw old boy a I love that phrase. And say Candace was a terrible friend to this idiot. How does that change the fact that she's the only one looking for the killer? I'm so over people digging up dirt to negate this. Yes. Again, whenever people attack like my character, I'll say that's all true, even if it's not. But tell me I'm lying. That's all true. Tell me I'm a horrible person. I've done this, that, and the third. That's fine. That's all true. But tell me I'm lying. This is unbelievable. Charlie Kirk was he was terrified of Candace. Like, are you kidding me right now?
If he did not. That's the truth. That is the truth, among everything. Charlie grew to a point where he could not stand her. And in fact, if you look at Candace's history, this is par for the course of Candace. In fact, it's deleted now, but in January of 2016, this is the article seen around the world that most people had trouble finding because since then the website's been deleted. But this is less than a year before Charlie and Candace met. Now, this really is Candace Owens. It even says at Candace_Amber, which if you know anything about Candace, you know that's her middle name. And it's an article written January 6th of 2016. I think affairs are romantic. Let's just read a little bit of this, shall we? And I know this is going to piss a lot of people off because cheating is awful, because millions of families are torn apart year after year because therapy, because counseling, that's why. I mean, even without the promise of marriage, the devastation it causes on even the most basic levels of dating is unthinkable, horrible. But I think affairs are romantic. I have an admittedly twisted mind. It's never swam along with the masses. Where the world sees black lines, I am blinded by colors and shapes, wonderful patterns, daring zigzags, lyrical neons. We hear that someone has had an affair and the world cries out, quote, tragedy, but I, sweet comedy. Humor found not in collateral damage of tears, but in our inescapable humanity. I laugh with the universe as it silently mocks our institutions, marriage, dating, and other associated obligations, structured lines, make-believe lines, rendered powerless by our inevitable chaos, by the one look and then lust, the one sentence and the fall. And falling is falling after all. It's a descent and then a crash without intent, purpose, or control. Nobody falls on purpose. It's fatal misstep and then gravity at risk to both yourself and others. Nice little thing here. We won't read anymore.
Okay, by the way, Candace low-key ate with this. As a former English teacher, she ate. She ate. Candace Owens can write. Yeah. I don't care about the fact that Candace Owens thought affairs were romantic. I believe Candace Owens, like always, is antagonizing the public. Instead of talking about comparing bank accounts and all the gobbledygook, why not confront the accusation of the PDF file that you're supposedly accused of instead of going on a crash out tangent? Crash out tangent indeed. Also, someone else said earlier, I meant to read it. Yeah, why don't you just sue her for calling you a PDF? Why don't you just sue her if she's so wrong? Instead, you go to this. You guys, like, my stomach hurts from laughing because Candace ate with this poem or whatever she called this thing. It was actually kind of good. Do I agree with it? No. But it sounds like she's actually writing this from the point of view of someone who's in an affair, not from her personal point of view. Because Graham Allen is too dense to understand literacy. He's too dense to understand literature. Like, this is actually not. It was actually pretty good. So I'm not mad at it. I'm like, yes, we all know affairs are wrong. She was also, how old was she at the time when she wrote this thing? Like, please. She also uses the term the universe, which tells me that she was definitely in her like new age era, not in her Catholicism era. So I expect nothing less. Unlike the widow, the grieving widow, the grieving psychopath, the untouchable widow who called herself a faithful Christian at 25 while messaging 15-year-olds. It's a stark contrast, babe. It's a stark contrast. This is the kind of behavior that I expect from a heathen, from an atheist. Okay. I don't expect someone who's calling themselves a Christian woman, a faithful woman at 25 to behave like the untouchable widow. That's the difference.
But that's Candace Owens a mere 1 year before she met Charlie Kirk. Again, I say, my point to you today is Candace Owens has always been a leftist. She's been a leftist for the past 10 years. And now it's becoming cooler for her to admit her leftist tendencies.
Wait, how does that make her a leftist? Because listen, baby, the way that grinder be going off at those Republican events, that I feel like a lot of the Republicans think affairs are romantic as well. If I'm being honest here, because it's like, how did that make her a leftist? You guys cheat all the time. Military men cheat all the time. Republicans and Democrats alike cheat all the time. How does that make her a leftist? It does not. This is called an illogical conclusion. This is not giving A plus B equals C. This is A plus A minus C equals 0 squared. Like, this is not making sense. Tell me how her believing that affairs are romantic makes her a leftist. When Grindr goes off the charts every time married Republican men are at a convention, including the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious allegedly.
You see, I know for a fact of how Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens actually met. You see, very shortly after that article, Candace Owens sees, it's not really getting a lot of traction. It's not really taking off. Then this mythical thing started happening where here comes the mythical unicorn idea of the black conservative. Now we have a real moneymaker. Candace then changes her YouTube to Red Pill Black. She starts making YouTube. In fact, I was first introduced to Candace via text message of Chad Prather while I was in New York, going on a Fox News hit. Candace was just starting. And to her and Charlie's own verbal admission in front of thousands of people at Turning Point USA's Winter Gala events, the very same one that she mocked Turning Point for doing this year, Charlie Kirk would tell the story of how they met, and Candace would agree that somewhere in that January of 2016 to 2017, when they met, Candace has this radical transformation. She becomes a black conservative, and she approaches Charlie Kirk at an event saying, "Hi, I'm Candace Owens, and I want to free the minds of Black America from the Democrat plantation."
How is that a bad thing? I'm just again curious. Is it because you're racist, Graham Allen, and you don't think Black people deserve to have the same freedoms as white people? That you don't think that they're capable of just simply changing their minds? I mean, I'm trying to understand where he's coming from. Is it because she's Black that you think that she's incapable of changing her mind, that she doesn't have the IQ? Help me understand why this is a bad thing. Because as far as I'm concerned, many people pitched themselves to Charlie Kirk, including his grieving widow. Quiet as it's kept.
Now, I don't know if that was a scripted thing between Candace and Charlie to say, because, man, is the PR of that great, but that's what they did. And for someone who says certain things are so weird all the time about how Erica and Charlie met, isn't that a little weird that Candace Owens inserted herself into Charlie Kirk's life?
No, because that's what people do in politics. Everybody's an opportunist. That's what people do in LA when it comes to movie stars and singers. People insert themselves in places to climb up the totem pole. Like, that is not weird. Now, it's weird to do it romantically. I'll tell you that much.
And not the other way around. Or at least that's the public story of which Charlie and Candace both told everyone. And I do not believe Charlie to be a liar. It's a little weird if you ask me. Then she goes on to be Turning Point and blah, blah, blah. And she can't get her story straight. In fact, can we find the clips, Todd, where she says one time she left because Charlie lied to her, and then the other time she was actually fired? It's the segment with the dual videos on it. Whenever you have that ready, let's pull that up. Because we can't even get the story straight on why she left Turning Point USA, even though everybody within Turning Point USA knows why she left.
Okay, watch this. And listen, you guys, this is going to be the most deceptive thing he does. And he is a straight up liar. If I'm going to guess that this is what he's going to do. I think he is. He's going to play the clip of her saying that she left Daily Wire, left TPUSA, and then he's going to play the clip of her at the Hodge Twins, talking about leaving the Daily Wire, and he's going to clip that together and make it seem like she's talking about Charlie. Watch this evil.
No one could stand her. But let's listen to what she has to say. So let's click the one on the right first. This is from her podcast where she says the reason she left Turning Point USA is because Charlie lied to her about money. Let's click the one on the right, Todd, if it'll play.
I was resigning from my position. As the communications director of Turning Point USA. Now, there has been a lot of public speculation as to what led to that decision. The media ran with it was anti-Semitism or some disagreement about Kanye West, but that wasn't true. None of that was true. The truth, and I think that you very well know what the truth is, if you were around for it, is that Charlie and I had a disagreement, which fractured my trust in him. He did something that he had never done before. He lied to my face about money. Now, in retrospect, I believe that the manner in which I discovered the lie might have been
That's it. That's all we need. Candace says on her show that she resigned because Charlie broke her trust and he lied to her about money. But then she goes on the Hodge Twins podcast and she says that she was, quote, gotten rid of. Let's play that.
To understand, like when you do deals with Satan, like he's not the creator. He is constantly trying to rebel against the creator, so he can't create. And so when these people get rid of people that are good and godly, Charlie got rid of me because I said, yeah, I know you can't just mass murder kids. Justin's always wrong.
So she did not get fired. See, so I thought he was going to do something different. Charlie got rid of her. He did not fire her necessarily. Those are two separate instances. So he's being intentionally deceptive here. And if he was a true journalist, he would know this. In one instance, in the first instance, Candace is talking about stepping down as director of communications. In this next one, she's talking about stopping because she still toured with them on the like the college campus tours. So this is intentionally deceptive and misleading. And when people who call themselves Christians do this, they have double to pay for this. They have double to pay because they're not even talking about the same instance in this moment. And that's, this is hard to watch because I feel, honestly, you guys, I feel bad for his soul because you're intentionally making this seem like something that it's not. And it's your due diligence as a quote unquote journalist or YouTuber or whatever to make sure that you have the right information. This hurts my soul for him.
Charlie got rid of me because you just can't mass murder kids. So which one is it? Were you fired or were you let go? We all know the truth. You were fired. Just like you were let go from PragerU. So let's talk about other things that are weird. Candace wants to talk about the weirdness between Erica and Charlie's love story, but yet no one calls out the fact of the weirdness between her and George Farmer's love story. So let's look at this interesting video right here. First of all, this is the PragerU set. The very company that Candace says I'm on the payroll for to attack her, chick, you worked for PragerU. They paid you hundreds of thousands of dollars for you to start your podcast.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Digress. This is them talking about how they met, were engaged, never had any romantic interactions of any kind. Let's play it.
A wedding special. No, I'm not talking about William and Kate or Harry and Meghan. I'm talking about me. I am getting married this weekend. So we decided that we were going to make this a wedding special and introduce you guys to my fiance, future husband, George Farmer. So just to give everybody context, we got engaged after 2.5 weeks, maybe?
I think it was about that time. Yeah,
right,
that's right, yeah.
Right, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, whirlwind romance, I believe.
I know.
Nothing romantic was said, between that day and the day that we got engaged. Nothing romantic was said at all. There was no overtures. We didn't go for dinner. Like nothing.
Flowers.
No, nothing. Yeah, nothing exactly. And so I was very clear about that because it was almost like getting to know oneself in some ways. It was kind of a very strange experience. It was like I saw myself in her, and in doing so.
Pause. That's all we need. Now look, who am I to say?
I saw myself in her. That is the most romantic thing you could say. But he's going to twist this into her husband hates her.
Hey, what is true love and what is not? All I'm saying is, for someone who says that Charlie and Erica's story is weird and off, I think we can all agree that Candace and George's love story is not what we would call conventional. If you agree with that, comment yes or no in the comment section. Again, I'm not saying their love is fabricated. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm just pointing out the fact the woman that calls everybody else's story weird and how Charlie's life was basically like the Truman Show, hinting at an arranged marriage and a planted marriage and all this other stuff. It's interesting that no one ever talks about Candace Owens' marriage. But why would they? Also, let's talk about the Daily Wire. Candace Owens, again, patterns emerge. Candace Owens has been a leftist her whole life. She continues to be a leftist her whole life. After the black conservative thing had kind of run its course,
Candace didn't orchestrate George's murder. Yeah, he's about to go on this whole rant about black conservatives. And here's the thing. I have no respect for Brandon Tatum. I have very little respect for Jason Whitlock. I have very little respect for who else are the Xavier DeRoos, whatever, because they're doing the same thing they did for the right. We call it tap dancing in the black community. They're still tap dancing for the government. We love a free black over here. We like a free black person, a free African American, if you will. We don't like black people who tap dance for either the Republican side or the Democrat side, who doesn't have a mind of their own. So he's about to go on this rant and say she ran out of the black conservative grift. No, Candace Owens woke up, baby. And I pray to God that you do as well.
Candace Owens then decides she's going to go to the Daily Wire, and her original show was simply called Candace, or the Candace Owens Show, or the CO Show, or whatever. And many people probably don't remember this, but it was behind the paywall of Daily Wire. And the original premise for the show was it was Oprah. That's what it was. It was Oprah. It had a live audience. She would have bands come in and play. My good friends, Skillet, were one of those bands. I went on there to the show from time to time. But what they don't talk about is somewhere in between the 3.5 years or so that she worked with Daily Wire, and maybe it had to do with COVID, maybe it didn't, but somewhere they abandoned the live audience idea and all the overhead over it, and then they just went to a normal podcast show, very much like she does today. Now, people will be like, oh, that's smart business, oh, blah, 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 bull crap. People don't change shows that are working. So what that indicates is Candace Owens was not ROIing how much it cost to put on that show, and so Daily Wire makes a change. All right, you're just going to do a very straight.
Okay, if you guys know anything about the Daily Wire, you know that Jeremy Boring was like putting on hundreds and hundreds of paying millions of dollars for his production, and so they were losing money. So of course, if this is true, of course they had to change some things because their CEO was draining them dry, running them dry of money because he wanted to fulfill his boyhood dream of being a movie producer. Additionally, yes, after COVID and after Ben co-signed the vaccine, people didn't want to come back into live audiences. They were too scared. So again, big nothing burger, none of this screams, she's a fraud. Sorry.
Forward, one camera shot, podcast type thing. They do the whole rebrand deal and all this kind of mess. But then Candace Owens decides to become even more anti-Semitic. And then it leads to her being fired from the Daily Wire. Patterns emerging again. Fired from Turning Point USA, fired from PragerU, fired from Daily Wire. Now, public report.
And let's talk about why she was fired from the Daily Wire and the Candace Owens show, and from TPUSA, both because of her perspective on the tiny hat people, both of them, not because of her character, but you guys will call it anti whatever because that fits your narrative. But she was only fired because of her thoughts on the tiny hat people. Yes, and yes, Candace Owens is bigger than the Daily Wire for sure.
May say, oh, it was an amicable split. She stepped down from Turning Point. She always an amicable split. She stepped down from PragerU. No, it wasn't. It never was, ever. It was always about bleeding the stone dry and then moving on to the next bigger, more monetarily valuable.
I find this hard to believe because Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager are such good friends that if she was really that horrible at PragerU, neither of them would have picked her up. So again, the lies.
Thing. You see, the other thing that strikes me is this as well. And here's the thing. Did she ever have Charlie Kirk on her Daily Wire show? I'm just curious. I don't remember if that was, and maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know, but everybody talks about how close they remained and all of this. But I don't remember her ever going on to her show when she was at the Daily Wire. He went on her show when she was at PragerU, but not Daily Wire. That's weird, right? For such close friends. But here's the thing that probably is going to end my career right now. And it's the thing that we're not supposed to say. And the part that allows you all to know that every single bit of this that Candace does is not because she believes in any of it. I know for a fact that the people that sell the ads for everyone, myself, other prominent people and things like that, they also sell for Candace Owens. It's not the sponsors per se, but the people that sell these individuals. It's almost like a war where the weapons are being sold to both sides to keep the war going because there's millions of dollars on Candace Owens' side right now. So it doesn't matter how terrible she is. It doesn't matter how.
That's simply business. Like, why are we upset that that's how business works? I'm very curious to see where he's going with this because that's how business works. That's how ads work. Ads don't care if it's Fox News or CNN. They just simply want to be seen. That's literally how it works. Why are we upset at that? Those same ads are funding you. They're not going to just fund one side. Like, be so for real. This is just, I'm like, are you economically and financially illiterate? That's the free market. Yes.
Morally corrupt it may be, or how terrible what she's doing is, there's millions of dollars in advertising for what Candace Owens is doing. So these agents and these things are saying, go, Candace, go.
There's millions of dollars that have been floating around for months and years as she has grown her platform. It's not simply because she's talking about this. She's made more money doing less. The Blake Lively incident made her plenty of money. Harvey Weinstein, the making of a murderer. Like, there was a lot that she's done in the past that garnered her the same income. This is not new.
Keep going deeper, keep going bigger. And then you got people like me who are trying to fight back against it. And I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that information. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the information that the powers that be, because there's only so many people that sell so many ads, they're fueling both sides.
I can tell you, because here's the thing. Remember Mean Girl Alex, who called Paleo Valley and said, "It's me or Candace. I'm going to throw a fit. It's me or who. You can't be an advertiser for us both." Who are you? Like, who do you think? This is grandiose thinking. Like, who thinks this highly of themselves that they have this much power that I don't know what I'm going to do about this yet? This pontificating that people do, I'm going to protect everybody. I'm going to tell these advertisers what to do. It's like, who do you think you are? Woo, grandiose sense of self. That's that military aesthetic, though. I told you guys I don't like that. That military aesthetic where they're like, I'm this guy. Let's go, chill.
Disgusting, really. It's terrible. But let's keep going with other things that we have with Candace Owens here. Because I don't just want to live in the past for forever. I want to talk about things that have gone on. So yesterday, Candace Owens made an accusation about Erica deleting all of Charlie's episodes and this and that. And then she gets a comment from what she believed was a Turning Point staffer. This guy's not a Turning Point staffer. He's actually doesn't even work for Turning Point. Let's see. No, take me down. This is where she says, not to be awkward, but they deleted all his episodes. And Ryan Marty says this down at the bottom. He goes, "Hey, fun fact, DEI queen. I'm the one that exclusively runs the CK YouTube, and nothing was deleted after his death. Stop making up garbage accusations that you literally know nothing about. You become worse than KJP and Contagia Brown Jackson." Now, what's really interesting about that is Candace Owens becomes unglued over this. The DEI remark.
He also needs Hooked on Phonics because he read that name so wrong. He doesn't. Yeah, I should have known he was illiterate. I mean, like. They've tied illiteracy to like logical thinking. So I should have known that. Also, not knowing how advertising work, I should have tied that to him not knowing that math works, and also a sign that he is not capable of critical thinking or basic decoding, because that's what phonics is. You decode words. And he's unable to read names. So that was just a very odd thing to do. But yes, this is the main thing that happened. And he's going to say, Candace Owens she's pulling the race card now. She's a leftist now. It's like, please.
In fact, she even brings up Turning Point spokesperson Andrew Colvette into this conversation. She's so offended that someone would bring up DEI hire. Because now Candace Owens, like she did with Ben Shapiro a couple weeks ago, she is pulling the race card. In fact, the very leftist that's been a leftist her entire career, that made her entire career pretending to be a black conservative, that made a whole book called Blackout about removing this slavery victimhood mentality from Black America, that you are not a victim, racism is not a thing, people in America are not racist, all this. Now, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, all these people are racist. She says maybe the spokesperson of Turning Point, Andrew Colvette, or the new CEO can help clarify why.
By the way, you can hear me, right? You have sound, Alexandra? Do you have sound? Let me know. I'm going to keep speaking while you guys answer. So one thing that white people who are on the like Republican side try to do is they try to convince Black people that racist people don't exist. Most conservative Black people understand that racism still exists. we just don't think that that's like the biggest problem in the United States. That's the difference between a leftist and a right, like a conservative and a liberal Black person, is that we don't think that this is like our biggest issue today. We don't make that the forefront. We say that unfortunately we live in a world, a fallen, sinful world where people are racist. So, and yes, you are born with, you know, some Black people are born with 2s and 3s and a, you know, a 4 of clubs and a 5 of spades. And so you just do what you will with the cards that you're dealt. But what a lot of white people on the Republican side try to do is they try to say racism doesn't exist at all. You're never allowed to talk about race. You're never allowed to call out racism because they don't have morals and ethics. Like these are literally, these people are devoid of the Holy Spirit. They don't know the difference between good and evil. They don't understand it. They don't understand that racism is a real thing. So if Candace Owens is calling something racist, I'm actually more inclined to believe that it is, simply because she never talks about race. Right? Like that's actually how I operate. I almost never blame things on racism unless they actually are racist. That's just how I live my life. We also know, as like, if you're a conservative and Black, you know that blaming everything on race doesn't generally take you very far. So again, this attempt to call her a leftist and that she's now pulling the race card, it's disgusting, and it's like reminiscent of like 2020, like I don't know, 2020. It's not landing how he thinks it's going to land.
My race is being mentioned and why I am being likened to Candace Brown, who I have not one thing in common with other than brown skin. Actually, you do have.
The fact that he can't read is sending me. Like, it really is. The fact that he can't, because her name is like super phonetic. This is just like, her name is so phonetic. Ken Ton G is so phonetic. It's like, there's no silent letters. There's nothing to like miss speak. Like, also, I can't understand like why guys like him with the intelligence of a chickpea can obtain the amount of audience that they have. Contagion. Yeah, it's like her name is so phonetic. That's why I know you didn't do Hooked on Phonics. Like, you actually cannot read. You are illiterate. Yes, he's butchering her name. It's like, what are you doing? You cannot read. Yes, how did he get an audience? I'll tell you, the faux military aesthetic. Like, people are like, a lot of people on the right are very in love with this, like, I'm a warrior, I'm a military guy. Like, it's just an aesthetic. It's not genuine intelligence. And one of the things that I've learned on YouTube too is that people don't necessarily love like intelligent commentary. Like, I'm very blessed to have the people who are following me on this channel now, because most people want bottom of the barrel content. They do not want nuanced thinking. They don't want perspectives that fit necessarily a narrative. So it's very hard to grow a channel on YouTube or even Rumble if you are not like, I could easily just become like a right-wing talker, like a talking points person. I could easily do that. And I would have millions of followers, you guys. I'd be invited on stages. I could go against Candace Owens right now and be like, she's a terrible person. She's not a Christian. She's not a Catholic. She's anti this. I could do that. And I would make millions on YouTube, you guys. People would flock to my channel. But I'm just not willing to do that. That's how he gets an audience. No, Ben Shapiro will never spaz on his pronunciations. He will never. Because tiny hat community.
Help clarify why my race is being mentioned and why I am being likened to Candace Brown, who I have not one thing in common with other than brown skin. Actually, you do have something far more in common with. You're a leftist. You're a leftist in disguise, much like she is a Supreme Court justice in disguise. You're a leftist, Candace. So do us all a favor and just come out as a leftist and save us all of the drama. You see, Candace Owens.
Child, that 7K is great. He definitely got 7K. Yeah, and they are paying people. He definitely got 7K. That 7K is great.
2.0 is she's just revealing who she's been the entire time. You see, character assassinations, that's a tendency of the left. If you disagree with her or you challenge her, she makes unfounded claims that she's going to destroy you. And that's where the fear comes in of the cowards who refuse to speak up, even though they claim to be Charlie's best friends.
Wait, didn't he just assassinate her character? Am I wrong? Are you guys? Did I lose my mind here? I'm like, you just did that. Ooh, pot meat kettle. Pot meat kettle.
But see, she's been letting you know her playbook from the very beginning. This is a clip from her Blexit days where she's saying that this is what the left does, but this is actually what Candace Owens does, using fear to control you. Play it.
When people know what you are afraid of, they can control you. Okay. When people know what you fear, they can control you.
Play it one more time, just so everybody
When
hears
people know what you are afraid of, they can control you. Okay. When people know what you fear, they can control you.
one thing and one thing only. They're afraid of losing viewers, and that intel loses money. And Candace knows this. Candace knows that right now she has the biggest microphone. Not in our party or on our side. She just has the biggest microphone. We no longer have our biggest microphone. Charlie was murdered, assassinated, taken from us. And here's my question to everyone who claims to have known Charlie, for all of you who watched Charlie that grieved his death. If it had been someone else who was murdered and Charlie was still alive, do you think he would let Candace Owens do this? The way that
Let this kind of like, oh, this is okay, you guys. Okay, I call this the spirit of the overseer. Okay. I'm like, spirit of the overseer. We need to control the blacks. The spirit of the overseer is coming out. You better calm down. Charlie wouldn't have let her do this. Charlie doesn't control Candace. And in fact, with the way that he was talking, I firmly believe that he would have encouraged it because of the way that he was talking towards the end of his life. So yeah, sorry, Charlie is not her slave owner. The spirit of the overseer is coming out. You sound like Joe Biden, low key. If you don't vote for me, you're not black. You sound like Joe Biden. Tuck that racism back in where it came from. Because it's very weird. Charlie wouldn't have let her do this. Yeah, he doesn't control her. Where are you going through?
he's doing it, attacking a widow, attacking the children. If your answer is anything other than no, and I want you to put your comment in the comment section right now, you didn't know Charlie Kirk at all. There's no way. There's no way Charlie would have let this stand. There's no way Charlie would have let this go. But let's keep going. We've got another thing for Candace here. This one's an interesting one. And this shows the delusion of Candace. You can go ahead and pull it up, Todd. Shows the delusion of Candace. And this is Matthew Mayer.
Hold on. Can we just be clear that we've learned nothing new from this? I've known Candace for 10 years. Can we just agree that we've learned nothing new from this show? Except for maybe the fact that Candace doesn't show up sometimes. Girl, was that while you were dating George Farmer? She was like, I don't need this money. I'm about to marry a lord.
Saying if your, quote, discernment produces slander, confusion, and chaos, it is not from above. God will not be mocked, and anyone who has brought into these lies needs to repent. It's that simple. Let's play it here where she says that her platform is God's platform.
By the way, I want to say I'm not even the one doing this investigation. This has been all of us. I just have the platform, and this platform is not mine. I genuinely know that this is God's platform. And whenever he's done and has used it, I'll be off of this. If this is the reason why I have the top podcast, to just get to the bottom of this because it's reveals so much to us, then so be it.
Pause. 9 times out of 10, doing what God wants us to do doesn't lead to the top podcast. 9 times out of 10, doing what God wants us to do doesn't make us worldly successful. She points out in there again, maybe this is the reason why I have the top podcast.
But sometimes it does. Charlie was worldly successful and he was doing what God wants us to do. You see the double standard? This is why the Bible says, let your yes be your yes and your no be your no. Y'all are frauds. You are fraudulent Christians. You only want God's will to be that you make money when it comes to you and Charlie, not everybody else. Listen, there are so many other people who are making money off of this Charlie Kirk investigation. Baron Coleman, Coach Colin, Didi got a podcast. They're all making money off of this, and you're choosing to go after Candace. Please let us know when the emissary CO responds to this nonsense. She just said she would stop her podcast if people would tell the truth. She would get off of here, she says. I don't need it. She can go homeschool her kids. Yeah, I don't know if Candace Owens will respond to this here or on video next week, but I believe that she I'll check on X and see if she does, but I think she's gonna wait to leave a scathing review in person.
podcast to be able to do this. No, you have the top podcast because you engage in evil. You engage in the ways of the world. Again, let me bring you back to the Bible verse that was sent to me by a very, very famous preacher, a very big name preacher, James 3:14-16. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth. This is not the wisdom that comes down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, and demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. That is Candace Owens. That is Candace Owens. That is what she does. She is a wrecker of all things. And even Tucker Carlson, who I've had many, many disagreements with here lately, even Tucker Carlson perhaps is starting to turn against Candace Owens. Tucker Carlson has this to say.
You guys, I played this at the beginning of my live. Listen to the way they chopped this off. They chopped off, they only played 42 seconds. Tucker Carlson actually goes on to defend Candace Owens. This is like intentional lying. Again, my soul hurts for this man because this is intentional lying or ignorance, willful ignorance. Listen to this. I played the full clip at the beginning of this live.
About internet sleuths. Here you go, play it.
Of what happened to him. And will we ever?
Of course, I don't know the answer. I never weigh in on it because I love his widow, Erica, and I'm sad to see. I'm sad to see so much of what's happened ever since, and I love Charlie, and so it's emotional for me, and so. But I will just say the responsibility for investigating crime goes to the civil authorities, in this case, the federal and state authorities, and so the internet is not in charge of investigating crime.
Pause. That is what I mean.
And then he goes on to say, but when the authorities don't do their job, then we have to. And then he goes on to explain how the government has never given us the truth about 9/11 and about JFK and about Charlie Kirk. And so we're filling in the gaps here. This is so disgusting. This is like, again, how are you calling yourself a Christian when you are willfully leaving out information that you know is true? This is how I know Candace is on to the right path. That's what I thought. I said, was it Rob McCoy? Ooh, really famous pastor, Rob McCoy. Or was it Greg Laurie, the guy who was like involved in the child trafficking? Like, yikes. That, not so sure you want to say that. But yeah, so my point is that he's, as a Christian, is willfully leaving out context, intentionally leaving out context. This is what they blame the left for doing. This is why we can't trust none. All y'all have sinned and fallen short. Okay, this is awful.
That is a truth from Tucker Carlson, but it also is the way that many people go about this. They tiptoe around calling Candace Owens out by name because no one wants to deal with the wrath of Candace Owens. Real quick before the end of the show, I got to tell you about our good friends over at Birch. Ladies and gentlemen, Birch Gold keeps this show going. We'll see if they keep the show going after this show. But we need every one of you to text the word Graham to 989898 right now. Help support what we do. Help keep us going. Support the sponsors and support us.
Okay, wait a minute. Did he? Oh, we hope they keep this support going after this show because I might be persecuted because I'm talking about Candace Owens. Girl, bye. No, nobody is dropping you as a sponsor because you talked about Candace Owens. Stop pretending. And look at this little smirk on it. This is called the Duper's Delight. I feel like he has a little Duper's Delight on his face. Like he knows he's lying. Yes, willfully misrepresenting. That's exactly what I meant to say.
They're going to send you a free 25-page information kit on how gold, silver, and precious metals can protect you and your family in an unstable economy and an unstable world. That's Graham, Graham, to 989898 right now. Back to the point. To everyone who is watching this, all my friends that have been in this fight with me over the past decade, to everyone that has seen what Candace has been doing, to everyone who knows what she's doing to Erica is not only unbiblical, it is evil. To Charlie's children, bringing Charlie's children into her reasoning behind, Erica had something to do with Charlie being murdered because his 3-year-old daughter woke up at 2:45 in the morning, all of it. My hope and my prayer for all of you, because I'm sure that Candace and her Canaanites are going to clip this and they're going to tear me apart and skin me alive. And I am well aware that this video might, quote unquote, end my career. And like she said, this is God's platform. That's why I
talk about victim mindset. They always, okay. The right wants white men to be victims so bad. It's very weird. talk about victim mindset. If I still have this platform after today, who's going to cancel you, boo? Like, I'm curious. I don't know how this works, but who's going to cancel you? Are you so, oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying that your followers are so dumb that they're incapable of both following you and Candace Owens. Ah, you think they're stupid. Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
I have the number one show. Well, I don't have the number one show, but this is God's platform. And if I lose it for telling the truth, then it's meant to be by the Lord that I was meant to lose it for telling the truth about this. Defending my friend, his widow, his children, his legacy against evil. We have a special call in the Bible to protect the widows and the orphans, and that's what I'm doing. So to those of you who still remain silent, to those of you who still remain quiet, my prayer is simply this. My prayer is that this is the battle cry that wakes all of you up. Candace Owens can destroy me. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She can't destroy all of us. If we all start punching back together, wait,
how can she destroy you? Again, you guys really think she's like this powerful human? I'm so confused. How could she destroy you unless she has information that could destroy your career?
All start pushing back together. She cannot defeat all of us. But that's a decision that you have to make. That is a discernment in your own spirit that you have to make. And I'm calling on every single one of you now to search deep within yourselves. If you claim to love Charlie, you claim to believe in Jesus and the Holy Scriptures, you claim to have the discernment of the Holy Spirit, then you know that this is wrong. And you can no longer sit idly by on the sidelines. I equate it to no more than the lukewarm pastor who has grown a mega church, speaking the easy things to talk about to grow the audience as big as possible. And then he won't speak the actual truth because he is now a prisoner of the lukewarm church that he has created. Many of you are prisoners to the lukewarm audiences that you have created. And then last but not least, I ask everyone who will see this, for all the clippings and all the out-of-text things and all the character assassinations that may come with this video, my hope, truly, when I say this, Candace, I am praying for you. And I'm praying for your soul. Because I am truly concerned about the state of it.
I'm praying for your soul too, concerned about the state of it, because when you go intentionally lying and intentionally cutting up clips to make them seem like they're saying things that they're not, intentionality matters, Graham Allen. Canaanite love it. Let's go to the promised land. Absolutely. Let's go to the promised land. We'll finish up here. What, you got 5 more minutes? Okay.
I'm not God. I'm not Jesus. Who am I to judge? I'm no one. I make mistakes. My life is not perfect. I've done many things I'm not proud of. I almost lost my marriage 10, 12 years ago because of me. I've been very open and honest about that. It's in this very book.
Oh, there we go. There it is. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I'm a noble protector. But hold on, let me put up my book again. Candace Owens is only in this for money, but let me make sure that the podcast is going to get the biggest replays and views. Let me go ahead and put my book up. Child, please. Oh, Jade. Oh, no, he can't do that because the Tiny Hat group is going to kill him. Protect widows and orphans, excluding Gaza, though, right? Yep, exactly. We're protecting widows and orphans, except the ones that are being slaughtered in the Middle East right now.
And my hope is that my testimony one day will make it to where other people do not make the same mistakes as me. No one is perfect, and I'm not saying that anyone ever will be, but what I'm saying is right now, Candace, I am praying for your soul. I am praying that you see the light. George, if you care about your wife at all, where are you? You need to intervene, George. You need to intervene because something is wrong with Candace. Not just the fact that she's been a leftist her whole life and it's now just coming out. Something is wrong. And I think you know it. I've heard the rumors. I've heard the things. George, you've checked out. I've heard all this. Again, these are rumors. Who knows the truth? But you need to step in, George. It's time. And my last part for this is I hope that one day people will look back at Graham Allen. I will not be written in the history books. I will be a footnote of a footnote, and that's fine. But I can't just let evil go by without saying something. I can't just let attacks happen without saying something with people that I've known for decades. I refuse. And I will not get to heaven and the Lord look at me and say, what did you do with the platform I gave you? Why did you not defend Erica Kirk, the widow? Why did you not defend Charlie's children, the orphans? And that's one final thing I want to say to all of Charlie's friends that remain silent right now. One day, the Kirk children will grow up. And one day, they're going to look back and go, why didn't you protect my father's legacy? Why didn't you protect my mother? And why didn't you protect us?
Well, they can say that already regarding how TPUSA is acting. They can say that already. They don't need to look at Candace Owens to go, why didn't you protect my father's legacy? They destroyed it by taking money when he didn't want to. Please.
Even if you lost, why didn't you do anything? And that I cannot live with. My own children, Dad, why didn't you defend Charlie's? Why didn't you defend Erica? Why didn't you defend those kids, Dad? My own children ask me those questions. Nope, not me. If you agree with all of this, I ask you to do me a favor. I ask you to hit the like button right now. I ask you to leave a comment in the comment section. I ask you to clip segments of this and post it everywhere, because that's how we start to damage Candace Owens. For those of you that are new watching the show, if you've enjoyed it, I ask you to hit the subscribe button right now. As many of you know, it is my distinct honor that we are the lead-in show to Dan Bongino, the GOAT, the greatest to ever do it. And so we're going to be raiding into Dan's show right now. And we're going to open the phone lines for a call-in here in our after show. If you enjoyed this episode, give us some American flags. And I hope this episode inspired many of you. I hope that this episode gave some of you courage that need it. But right now, while we have everyone here, I just simply want to say a prayer, and then we'll bring Todd back in and we'll do calls. So let's do that right now.
Hey, I don't believe in praying with people who I don't think are actually believers. Whatever you about to call in, I don't want none of that. I don't want none of that. So I'm going to go ahead and get off. Yeah, he brought up her poor husband. Poor guy's about to get in big, big trouble. Yeah, I thought that was kind of dirty. Oh, I heard you guys are, you've checked out. I heard this, that, and the third. Here's what I will say about that. The kids should ask mommy those questions. I'm pretty sure that George Farmer knows that Candace Owens is grieving, and that this is actually part of her grief. And I think one of the reasons why this is so close to Candace isn't because she's in love with Charlie or even that she was his sister. I think it's because Candace Owens realizes how easily this could have been her and how it could be her soon. And so part of her getting to the bottom of this is not necessarily just for Charlie. It's for all of the people who decide to speak out. Because if they can figure out who's calling the hits, then we can stop this from happening. Why didn't people protect Charlie? Oh, because they were all evil. Yeah, exactly. You fool. Exactly. Why didn't his staff members, his security people say, hey, no, you can't be outside. No, I don't care what you want. I'm protecting you. You cannot be outside. Why was the only thing that they were concerned about is the fact that he had a straight and easy path out of there? Yeah, those are the questions. All right, you guys, that's it for today's video. Please do not forget to like this stream on the way out. Thanks for joining me. This was super fun, and I will see you guys in the next one.